Hello, my name is Michael Lambert, and today I want to talk about our Home Secretary's rather hapless attempts to punish anyone wanting to claim asylum in this country and to do everything possible to stop anyone coming here. But before I do that, if you haven't already subscribed, I'd be grateful if you would do so, and if you wouldn't mind hitting the like button if you approve of what I have to say. Now, anyone coming to this country from outer space and observing what's going on right now could be forgiven for thinking that the Prime Minister was deliberately trying to ruin the country. Almost every decision he makes results in things getting worse, and it's almost as though he's under the control of some foreign power. I'm not suggesting that he is for a moment, but if you look at just last week, to begin with, at the beginning of the week, it was announced that we were going to introduce legislation to override the Northern Ireland Protocol. This is part of the withdrawal agreement, which is a solemn agreement which we signed with the EU when we left. This is all to appease the DUP, a minority party in Northern Ireland. This is little Jeffrey Donaldson, who goes around with that posse of very angry men that look like a load of second-hand car salesmen, who all absolutely refuse to have a border down the Irish Sea. And to keep them quiet, we're prepared to risk a trade war with the EU at a time when we know we're heading for fantastic, amazing cost of living crises, and where we know that food is going to be in short supply, it's going to be very expensive, and we're going to war, an economic war with the EU, which supplies half of our food. I mean, it's almost utterly insane. To appease a minority party in Northern Ireland, we're prepared to risk a trade war with the EU. It's almost unbelievable. And then there's business with Lord Geidt. Johnson wanted Lord Geidt to give him cover for something or they want to do with tariffs, and Geidt, I think that was the last straw for him. He's probably thinking about going for quite a while. That's the second ethics advisor, in addition to the anti-corruption SAR that he's lost in a matter of almost, certainly within 2 years. And you cannot believe that Johnson can still hang on, yet he's got so much support. And he knows that all he has to do really is to keep the right wing, the ERG and that lot, keep them happy, keep them on side, and it's going to be very difficult to dislodge him. But I wanted to just read to you something that Lord Hennessy said. Lord Hennessy, who's a very distinguished historian. And this is what he said about Johnson, because I think it sums him up perfectly. He said, he has sullied the office of Prime Minister like no other, turning it into an adventure playground for one man's narcissistic vanity. The Queen's First Minister is now beyond doubt a rogue Prime Minister, unworthy of her, her Parliament, her people and her kingdom. And I think that's it, isn't it? I mean, he is just playing with us. He's playing with the country. You know, when we've got so many crises to worry about at the moment, he's off on that great big plane, which we're all paying for. He's off in a matter of the last 10 days, been to Blackpool, he went to Cornwall twice in it, and then he went to Kiev. It's all about his profile. And in the meantime, things are just getting worse and worse, and the economic situation is getting worse and worse. There's so many problems to deal with. We've got these rail strikes coming up. But he doesn't want to know. For him, it's just a joke. It's all a jolly jape. And then the third thing that happened last week, of course, was this attempt to start sending asylum seekers to Rwanda. This is one of the craziest things I think probably ever suggested, and is really quite extraordinary. But of course, it's all much to do with our Home Secretary, this dreadful, nasty, sadistic, horrible woman, a truly horrible woman, whose first reaction, I think, to almost any problem is punishment and more rules. She's the woman who sort of pushed through the legislation to make it illegal for us to demonstrate any longer. Let's say not absolutely illegal, but if a policeman thinks we're making too much noise, we can be stopped and be arrested and put in prison, and whereby stop and search will be fine, policemen can stop you and search you without any reason whatsoever, without having to give any reason and so on, where in due course it will be illegal for any journalist to print any information obtained from a whistleblower. This is a woman who is just really, really wants to create a dictatorship, an authoritarian state. She is obviously enthralled to Boris Johnson. You only have to see photographs of the two together. She looks lovingly into his eyes and she absolutely worships him, clearly. At the same time, I don't think he's got anything but contempt for her. I think he sees her as just some sort of Rottweiler who'll do his dirty work for him. And she obliges. She's very happy to. She's been very desperate to be able to control immigration. That's been her one big mission in life, is to control immigration. And she's tried everything. She tried sending them back to France and to Europe, and that was found to be impossible. She wanted to send them to Ascension Island, and it was found that wasn't going to be possible. And then she wanted to put them in prison, and there was problems there with enough prisons. And now she's found this idea of sending them to Rwanda. The problem with immigration is this, that one of the first things that she's done is to make it almost impossible to come here through a legal route, unless you are what she describes as the brightest and the best. If you've got a Nobel Prize, then fair enough, you can come here. But if you want to come here because you've got a wife and children here, or you've got other family members here, if you want to come here because you're escaping a torture, or you're escaping a risk of being arrested and even executed, if you want to come for any of those reasons, you can't. She's made it too difficult. And what the consequence of that is that people are coming using illegal routes. There are two reasons why there are so many more people coming across in boats this year. The first is that it's been made almost impossible to come using the proper channels because it's too complicated, the restrictions are too great, it takes too long. It's almost impossible. And if you're not skilled, because we only want the brightest and the best here, if you're not skilled, if you're not a Nobel Prize winner or a professor or whatever, you're not going to get into this country. Second reason is that the French have no interest, no reason whatsoever to stop them leaving. Why would they? We do nothing but insult the EU. We've just, as I've just said, overridden or planning to override the Northern Ireland Protocol and the withdrawal agreement. We're insulting them all the time. They are the evil empire. They're responsible for everything. You know, until we left them, we were in such a state until we managed to get free, to break free from the shackles of the EU, the terrible EU. And then we go back and say the French should help us more, stop them coming. Frankly, if I were the French, I'd say, yeah, go on. That's where we can get the boats. Why do the French want them hanging around in France? If all they want to do is get to England because they've got a wife, or you've got a brother or a sister or a mother or a father living here, and they speak English, why on earth are they going to want to stay in France? Of course not. And so what Patel is doing everything possible to stop them coming. It ain't going to work. There is this perception, you know, because you see what they'll say is we've got to stop you hear this expression all the time, these sort of things that people pick up and they keep repeating it. You've got to break the model of the people smugglers. You've got to break the business model. You heard that on news. I hear that on news all the time. Breaking the business model of the people smugglers. There's this idea, I think, that in Calais somewhere, in some back street, there's a cafe and there's a big burly guy and a couple of big burly guys beside him. And he sat at a table with a sign on the table saying, tickets to the UK, $10,000, pay here. It doesn't work like that. There's also the perception that these people who are coming across are all just really poor, miserable, uneducated dross. They're not. You know, if you come from a country far away and you've got the energy, you've got the determination, you've got the wit to travel halfway across the world on a very tortuous journey to get to the UK, you've got to have something about you. I mean, these are people with drive and determination, and very often they're highly educated people. And likewise with the people smugglers, they're not just gangs of hooligans, of thugs. These are businessmen. Some of them operate from London. The money's paid through bank accounts. You don't go in and hand the cash over. It's all very well organised, and you're never ever going to catch them by stopping the boats coming, by saying that if you come here you get you sent to Rwanda. All these people know, they know that only if any go to Rwanda ever, and it seems quite unlikely to me, but even if they do go to Rwanda, it's going to be a handful. And we've got 50,000 people now, 50,000 people waiting for decisions from the Home Office, 50,000. And we get a few hundred coming across every day. So they know chances are very, very, very slight that they're going to be sent to Rwanda. And so it's not going to be a deterrence. And the businessmen, they'll find other ways. This is a fantastic earner for the people organising this. They're clever people, they're smart people. A lot of them are working with businesses that are already in the UK, so that when these people arrive, these illegal immigrants, they've got jobs, they've got places to live, places to go. It's so naive to think that these are just gangsters taking wadges of cash from people on the beach at Calais and then giving them a rubber dinghy to go out on. It's all organised. And the present strategy will never, ever stop this happening. The problem, of course, is that there is no, as I said before, there are no easy or no straightforward legal routes into the UK, because this woman Patel doesn't want anybody coming here. She, like 6 other members of the cabinet, she's a daughter, and they're all children of people who came to this country. She, for example, her parents, you hear a lot about, oh, they're running away from Idi Amin, he chucked them out. Nothing to do with it. They came from Uganda in the 60s. Idi Amin didn't evict the Indians until 1972. She came, or her parents came, in the 60s as economic migrants because they wanted to do better for themselves. And of the cabinet, we've got 21 members of the cabinet. 7 of them, I've got them here: Sunak, Raab, Patel, Kwarteng, Javid, Sharma and Zahawi. All children, that's 1/3 of the cabinet. All children of immigrants. And 5 of them, 71%, voted for Brexit to keep immigrants out. It's like people, you know, who have got a bit of money and they don't like seeing poor people getting a bit better off. You know, I've done it, I've made it, I've got here. I'm in the cabinet, I'd be very successful. What I want to do is stop other people doing the same as I've done. Make it very difficult, make it impossible. And I watched, you see, they come up with all these excuses for why we shouldn't have immigrants. I watched, so depressing, I watched Question Time on Thursday, and people were saying one after another, we don't want them coming, we don't want them coming. Where are we going to put them? They kept saying, where are we going to put them? We're full up. Where are we going to put these people? Well, whoever has a child and says, when they get to 21, where are we going to put them? We can't have children. Where are we going to put them when they grow up? These people, they come here, these immigrants, they want to work. They've come across the world to try and do better for themselves. They've escaped terrible, terrible conditions at home. They want to work. They want to do anything. They want to get on. And they'll start off, they'll rent a room somewhere and they'll share it with 6 others until they get a little bit of money, and then they get their own room. And then maybe one day they'll buy a flat, they'll buy a house. It's how everybody does it. It's how life works. You start work and you just get, as you get more money, you buy somewhere to live, you get somewhere to live. But no, we've got to put these people up. We've got to pay for them forevermore. And you hear all about this. You hear all the time about these 4-star hotels. I've even had them referred to as 5-star hotels. I can tell you, if you want to stay in a 5-star hotel, it's going to cost you a minimum of £300 a night. If you want to stay in a 4-star hotel, it's probably cost you £100, £150 a night. And these people all were putting up. The poor taxpayers having to put them into hotels, 4-star hotels. These hotels are run-down places owned by firms that have groups of hotels that haven't got any chance of filling the hotels because there's no tourism anymore because Brexit put a stop to that. And they're very happy to take 10 quid a room, 10 quid a night for a room, and to provide the most basic services and to provide the most basic food for these poor people to survive on. And they're not allowed to work. And so we've got 50,000 people hanging around, kicking their heels, doing nothing, when we've got a shortage of workers in all these different sectors. farming, healthcare, hospitality. And they can't work. And the vast majority of them will be given asylum. Why are they not working now? It's just the whole thing is so badly thought through, so stupid. And, obviously, you can't say, open the doors, let anybody come in. You've got to have controls. Of course you've got to have controls. You can have proper controls, but you must have proper routes for people to come through. Because another consequences of what we're doing now by virtually shutting down the official routes, is that you just find that all these people are going to start arriving because they don't claim asylum because they're told they might be sent to Rwanda. They're all going in the black economy. They'll all be working for cash. I know somebody, I've mentioned in a previous video, he got his degree from university here. He came here to study from the Far East. I got his degree about 6 years ago. He then applied for right to remain. They said to him, yeah, okay, we'll have a look at it. Home Office said, yeah, okay, we'll look at it. And 6 years later, nothing, still waiting. At one point, he was about a year ago, he was picked up and put in a detention centre, ready for detention. Got a solicitor wrote to the Home Office, now he's out again. But from the day that he left university, he's been working full time, sometimes 7 days a week. He hasn't paid a penny in income tax, a penny in NHI. Hasn't paid a penny for anything because he's not allowed to work. So for the last 6 years, he's supposed to be sat in a room waiting, like these other 50,000 are supposed to be doing. This is a crazy, crazy, crazy system. But anyway, I think with Patel and her desperate attempts to find ways of punishing these people for coming here. And there's no compassion, there's no even thought given to the circumstance these people have escaped from. It's just punish them because they've come here and we don't want them here. We don't want them here when we're so short of workers, we're so short of people. The whole of Europe is an ageing population, or almost the whole of Europe is an ageing population. We are short of workers throughout Europe, and that's going to get worse and worse and worse. And other countries are taking far more refugees than we are. But we don't want them here. No, we just want the brightest and the best. Nobel Prize, you're okay. And there is another thing here, actually, which is worth mentioning. It's this, that global warming, which is just a sort of a story that crops up every now and then and nobody's much interested in. It's been lovely weather, hasn't it? It's been extremely nice. It's been so hot. Global warming is meaning that whole areas of the world are becoming uninhabitable. And there are millions, hundreds of millions, probably billions of people who either stay where they are and die or move, and they're all going to start moving. So unless we kind of work out some way of dealing with all this, the problems in the future are going to be, compared with what's going on now, are going to be absolutely vast. And just a couple of other small points. We keep hearing, you hear it from a lot of Tory MPs, the ones that Johnson is so frightened of and only needs to keep on side by feeding them red meat all the time. You hear them saying that all these asylum seekers should claim asylum in the first safe country they get to. Well, that means that no asylum seekers will ever claim asylum in this country, because it is impossible to get from Mogadishu or from Eritrea or from Kabul or wherever to this country without passing a third country. So it's everybody else's problem. They can all deal with it. We don't want them coming here. The French should keep them. Anyhow, that's all I'm going to say. All I can say is I think this whole Rwanda plan, I mean, it's something that failed before because the Israelis tried it and it didn't work. But it is so cruel. It's so unfair. Regardless of what you think about refugees and coming here and so on, these people who come here, generally speaking, well educated, guys in their 20s and 30s, and you're going to pick them up and you're going to take them to Rwanda. Different culture, different languages, and that's where they're going to have to live for the rest of their lives unless they can find somewhere else to go. They're going there to be processed, not processed in order to come to get asylum in the UK, processed in order to get asylum in Rwanda. If they don't get that, then they'll have to go back to wherever they came from. But if they stay in Rwanda, what's a guy at 28 who wants to get married and have a family? What's he going to do in Rwanda? It's just so cruel. It's just a way of dumping them. It's a kind of a deterrent to frighten them all. And it just simply isn't going to work. Now, I'm sorry to say I didn't really get very many comments that were worth reading out this week, as I have done the last few weeks. I think probably people are getting a bit shy, perhaps. But I have got just one or two that give you an indication of how much my fans like me. What did you even say on this vid? Just a load of waffle. That was somebody called John Donson. David Murphy, he's rather aloof. He says, I didn't find much value in this analysis. Everything said was true, but it was also a statement of the obvious. I didn't find it very insightful. Am I alone in this? Another Boris basher says, have you seen me whip it? A lady by the name of Stella Adams said, there are a lot of people who do not agree with you. Rather him than Starmer. At least Boris stays upright and has ideas of his own. I wouldn't have said that about him really, but anyway. Not like old Ben the Knee, who jumps on the latest bandwagon. In that one sentence, she managed to make 9 spelling mistakes. And that really is about it. There's just one guy called Vincent Foxall who said, a whiner giving lessons on whining. A Remainer. Isn't it a traitor? A sellout? Lots of names, all well deserved. Odd, isn't it? Anyway, none of the others is really worth reading out, but maybe some will. If I say that anybody who still believes that Brexit was a good idea is really, really, really stupid, that might generate a few comments, which might be worth reading out next week. Anyway, if you watched this far, thank you very much indeed, and until next time, bye for now.